The grins, the sarcasm, and all them cheap little jokes, they're starting to fade. Used to be easy to poke fun. The commentators laughed. The rivals ran their mouths. Some folks talked like Alabama was already dead. Others acted like the new head coach was just a temporary fix. Hold in the spot till somebody better came along. But now, that smirk's disappearing. And the excuses, well, they're rolling in. Well, that's not exactly what I meant. On today's episode, we're going to show you all how the trash talk from the other side is doing something they didn't expect. It's lighting the fire of Alabama's dynasty again. And the folks who were laughing, they're starting to backpedal, tail tucked and talking a whole lot different now. All that and more, right here on Roll Tide Press. When Coach Nick Saban said he was retiring early in 2024, it was like an earthquake shook Tuscaloosa. Saban wasn't just a coach, he was a symbol, a pillar. Just saying his name made other teams nervous. And as soon as he stepped away, the vultures circled. Old rivals, biased commentators, and fan bases who'd been waiting years to throw dirt on the dynasty came crawling out. The jokes started. The memes flooded in. The tweets were flying. Alabama's done. No Saban, no Tide. Kalen DeBoer, y'all serious? Dbor didn't even get a chance to unpack his things before folks were already writing him off. Didn't matter that he'd led Washington to greatness. To some folks, he was just a stand-in, a transition guy, someone to warm the seat till the next big name came along. But while all the lights were on, the people laughing. Dbor was building, quiet, focused. He didn't bark back at the critics. He didn't fire off interviews. He gathered his players, set the tone, got to work. And then came one of the boldest shots of the offseason. A quote from Florida State's quarterback, Thomas Castellanos. In an interview, he said, "I don't see how Alabama's gonna stop me. They ain't got Nick Saban to save 'em no more." And just like that, it was on. That line traveled fast, coast to coast, screen to screen. And in Alabama, it didn't hit like any old trash talk. It felt personal, not just to the team, to the fans, the program, the legacy that had been built one championship at a time. Outlets like USA Today, Bleacher Report, and AL.com picked it up. And over on the Paul Feinbaum show, the message was clear. When you come at Alabama, you best be ready. 'Cause the answer don't come in interviews. It comes in pads and pain. Castellanos wanted attention. Well, he got it. But he didn't just jab at any team. He went after one that don't forget. At SEC Media Days, Crimson Tide defensive lineman Tim Keenan III got asked about Castellanos' comments. He didn't shout, he didn't smirk, he didn't crack a joke. He just looked up and said, "Disrespect will be addressed." That one sentence hit like a hammer. It lit up social media. In just a few words, Keenan captured the feeling in the whole locker room. They'd heard what was said. They weren't gonna forget. And they damn sure weren't gonna let it slide. Now, Keenan ain't just anybody. He's 6'2", weighing 335 pounds of pure Alabama muscle. He's a redshirt senior, been starting the last 2 seasons. He's a voice in that locker room. And when he speaks, folks listen. That wasn't just his response. It was the Tide's. And from that moment on, Alabama stopped looking like a team in rebuild mode. They started looking like a team on a mission. And not just any mission. A mission of pride, of honor, of vengeance. Now, the jawing didn't stop there. But something strange started happening. The folks who were talking loud before, they started changing their tune. And wouldn't you know it, Thomas Castellanos himself was the first one to backtrack. A few days later, a video starts going around online. It shows Castellanos running into a player from Bama. He ain't talking big no more. He's nervous. He's smiling weird. And he says, "If you watch any of my interviews, you know I don't really talk like that. I just wanted to fire up my guys." What used to be confidence suddenly turned into excuses. What started as a bold statement now sounded like a misquote, a misunderstanding. And Alabama fans. They saw right through it. They took to Twitter, or X, whatever folks call it now, posting clips of his earlier comments, writing captions like, "Where's that tough talk now?" He poked the elephant. Now he's running. TikTok was full of edits. Keenan staring down the camera, music swelling. Castellanos' quote followed by clips of Bama players hitting the sled like it owed them money. The hashtag #Roll Tide Revenge started trending and stayed up there for 2 whole days. Meanwhile, back in Tuscaloosa, something else was brewing. Practice footage leaked, players shouting war cries. You could hear them saying stuff like, "They disrespected us. They asked for this. Now we deliver." Names like Caden Proctor, Deontay Lawsons. They weren't just practicing. They were gearing up for a message, a statement. And in the center of it all was Kalen DeBoer. The same man folks laughed at. The same guy they called a placeholder. He wasn't just coaching. He was leading. Reporters started changing their tone too. One analyst from CBS said, "I'll be honest, I had my doubts about Dbor, but the way he's got those boys moving, he's building something fierce." Another from On3 added, "The energy coming out of Bama feels different. Not like the old Tide, but something just as dangerous." And Dbor, for his part, stayed calm. Didn't take the bait, didn't feed the drama. In an interview, he just said, "We heard it, every word, and we'll respond, in our way, on our field." And now, the world's watching. The analysts who once buried Bama are backpedaling. The fans who were laughing, quiet. And the Tide? They're coming, fast. That game between Alabama and Florida State, set for August 30th, it ain't just a season opener anymore. It's turning into the most anticipated showdown of the month. And it ain't just about the talent on the field. It's about the storyline, the tension, the pride, the payback, the sports books. They had Florida State as a slight favorite early on, but that's already changing. Bets are swinging, money's shifting, public opinion's rolling toward Bama. And not just because of the roster, but because folks are starting to realize revenge hits different when it's personal. And Alabama, this year, it's personal. When the Crimson Tide step onto that field, they ain't just playing to win. They're defending a legacy. They're sending a message, because the soul of Alabama football ain't just in the wins, it's in the standard, the pride, the expectation that no matter who's wearing the headset, you never count this team out. Since Nick Saban took over in 2007, Alabama didn't just become dominant, they redefined what domination looked like. 6 national titles, Heisman winners, dozens of NFL stars, a full-on dynasty that left every program in the country trying to keep up. So when folks started saying Bama's done without Saban, they weren't just disrespecting a coach, they were trying to erase history. But that's the thing about history, it don't forget. And neither does Alabama. This matchup against Florida State, it ain't just week 1. It's a statement. It's a warning. It's a declaration that the Crimson Tide ain't going nowhere. Now, let's talk about them Seminoles for a second. After going 13-0 in 2023, Florida State got snubbed from the playoffs, and it wrecked them. The next season, they went 2-10, 2 wins, 10 losses. That ain't just a drop-off, that's a collapse. They changed coaches, they shuffled rosters, confidence turned to chaos, and all they had left was talk that's now falling apart at the seams. Quarterback Thomas Castellanos, the same one running his mouth weeks ago, he's now the face of every meme on Bama Twitter. His "they ain't got Saban to save 'em" quote, it's on t-shirts, posters, even got played back on radio shows as a punchline. And the tone in his interviews lately? Whole different man. The swagger's gone. The stare is nervous. The game's already shifting. Meanwhile, in Tuscaloosa, it's a whole different feel. What started as uncertainty is now focus. What was once transition is now transformation. When ESPN sat down with a few Tide players, they all said the same thing. This year, it's personal. And if you've followed Bama long enough, you know what that means. When the Tide take things personally, they don't just win, They break you. So no matter who you pull for, whether it's Alabama, Florida State, or any other team in the SEC, you'll want to be watching on August 30th. Because this ain't just a game. It's a response. It's a lesson. It's a story of disrespect, pride, and redemption. And now, we want to hear from y'all. Drop your score prediction down in the comments. You think it'll be close? You think Bama's gonna run them out the stadium? Who scores first? Who walks off with their head down? Let us know. That's it for today's episode of the Roll Tide Press. Roll Tide, always.